Hey everybody, it's your girl Shar, the super chick. Guess what day it is? That's right, it's hump day and it's right around 7 p.m. It's time to relax, chill, and unwind with your girl Shar, the super chick, on the evening wind down. Hey everybody, I want to thank you all for tuning in. It's hump day. We have made it through halfway through the week. I'm not going to say all the way through the week, but we're almost there right now. We might as well say we've made it through the end of the week. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you guys are listening to the show on iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon, and don't forget Spreaker, because that's how I get my money. So make sure that if you guys are a fan of the show, make sure you hit the blickety blick of the click of the submit and follow. I know that was kind of corny, but just make sure you guys are following me on each and every platform. Social media, make sure you're Googling Shar PV, Shar the Super Chick, hashtag the evening wind down with Shar. Make sure that you are winding down with your favorite beverage. We do a wine of the night. I'm going to get right to it because if I don't, I always forget and then I'll say it midway of the show. Make sure that you're taking a picture of your wine. Email it to me. If you're not emailing to me, drop it in my messenger or something. I like to see what we're doing when we're doing what we're doing. So tonight I have a 1932 Michelin Bliss, and it's by way of Conyers, Georgia. And when I tell you this is a great wine, and it's homemade, and they do their thing. So if you guys Google Michelin Bliss 1932, you'll see they're by way of Conyers, Georgia. Make sure you get out and support, because we got. We have to support each other. Make sure you're supporting the show. Hey guys, I have a special guest tonight. Now I know y'all didn't see me post about Tubi, but I usually only do Tubi on Thursday. But guess what, y'all? We're going to talk a little bit about Tubi tonight on Wednesday. But it's not just about Tubi. It's about the people behind the movies on Tubi. But this guy right here is more than a filmmaker. He's more than an actor. He is all about, how can I put this? He's a trick of all trades. Y'all, I want you all to welcome Mr. Joe Smith to the show tonight. Thank you, Joe, for joining the evening wind down.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know, let me tell you how I came about interviewing Joe. Let me tell everybody how I came about interviewing Joe. I do this thing where I do Tantalizing Thursday. That's just me. I'm from Michigan. We do things different, right? And every Thursday I get on Tubi and I find me a movie. I came across this movie and I was just like, oh my God, this is like one of the best movies that I've seen on this platform, right? And I'm not saying that just because you're on my show. I'm being real.
Okay.
And I cried. The movie was so passionate. You know, it made me so mad. I had so many emotions watching this movie, y'all. This movie, and I posted this movie on my social media platforms. It's a Good Man. Bravo, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Bravo. I watched that movie. I felt each and every part of the movie. And towards the end,
thank you.
I felt it. I just kind of broke down. And I'm a sucker. I'm a crybaby. It was just, how did you come about writing that movie?
So the concept for it kind of came from a conversation I had with a friend of mine years ago, and we were talking about relationships, and she said, and actually this is actually a line in the movie. She said, women don't understand that when you break a man's heart, you're damn near taking your life in your hands.
Wow.
And so she was just talking about how, we as men, we don't, women, you guys can, get your heart broken, get cheated on, get mistreated, but eventually you guys are able to heal and bounce back and love again. But men, our egos, once our egos get damaged, sometimes we may never recover. Mm-hmm. There's men who've been cheated on or mistreated, and they never were right after that. They went to their grave broken. And so sometimes we don't handle things as well as you guys do. And so that's kind of where the concept of the movie came from. You know, it's a movie about a guy who, treats a woman well, but he's actually a little in over his head with the kind of woman that he chose to fall in love with, and he gets his heart broken, and it goes downhill from there.
Let me tell you, I was watching that movie, and from the moment when he met her, I said, she's so ratchet. I mean, I think guys like a little bit of the chase or different, she's different.
Yeah.
He's kind of like upscale. He's very professional. And then you have this lady that has not seen that side of things. So
right.
It was kind of like Captain Saber. It was kind of like, now I get, because now tell me if I'm right or wrong. All men like to feel wanted and needed.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. That's a part of our ego and what drives us. Definitely.
So with seeing her, he bossed her up. I was like, you a damn fool. I mean, I've been on the other side of the stick. You get what I'm saying? I'm like, he done bought you a beamer. I had to buy my own beamer. I'm just like, I knew she wasn't right for him, but the passion behind it, and like when you said, when men get their hearts broke, and the reason I reached out to Joe is because I'm a victim of domestic, but not victim. I've been in a domestic violence relationship, and men, it's hard to get rid of a man when you've hurt him. And so I'm watching the movie and I'm like, oh, she gonna get killed. The whole time I'm like, she has literally broke this man apart. You guys, if you have not seen the movie, I'm sure you have, because how many streams do you have of that movie?
You know what? I don't have the numbers. I got to call my distributor and find out, but it's a lot.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
I've talked to every female that I know, and they're just like, oh my God, that movie was the bomb. I called everybody I know, listen, you got to watch this movie. You got to watch this movie. I'm texting people. I'm like, you got to watch this movie. It was so real and so raw. Yeah. And it's like, in writing that, did you ever place yourself in that situation? Like, this could be you.
Nah. I mean, we've all, been through situations with women that, didn't turn out the way we expected them to. And, I've definitely been in situations, especially when I was younger, where it's like you fall in love with I don't want to say fall in love. You get tangled up with the wrong type of woman, and, you don't know better. So yeah, definitely, I've had situations that didn't go as planned.
Right.
And thinking that, so what Ethan, that's the name of the character in the movie, A Good Man, Ethan learned the hard way that, the type of woman that you get involved with is who she is, and you can't change her by just being nice to her and treating her well and buying her things. And sometimes we make the mistake of thinking that if we just show her all of this love and affection and attention, that the woman will just melt and be forever grateful, and you guys will live happily ever after. And it's just, when somebody is broken themselves and they're toxic themselves, which is what was wrong with Ari, who was the character that broke his heart. It's like, you can't fix that. I often say there is no external solution to an internal problem.
That's correct.
And so what was going on with Ari could not be fixed by, whining and dining and getting your life bossed up. And even Ari had to learn that. Well, she didn't get to learn it. she didn't survive it. But, had she lived, she would have.
So you're giving away the movie. Lesson. What if somebody hasn't watched that part? You are.
No.
You can't give away that part.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, forget I said that.
Yeah, you can't give away that part. You know what I took from it? I took women that grow up rough or are always in rough relationships. They don't want anybody that's soft. You don't know that part of love. It's not right if you're not being called the B word every now and then, or it's not right if sex isn't rough, or you struggling, or you got to build him up. Because most women nowadays, you find women and they, Lord Jesus, please forgive me, I love y'all. They'll find a man and the man only got one outfit and they want to go boss him up and they want to build him up. And that makes them feel like, oh, he ain't going nowhere, he ain't going to do nothing, which is totally opposite. But you know, when you find a man that's doing this and doing that, women that ain't used to that, you're soft, you're weak. They don't want that. It's boring. It's no excitement in it.
Yeah, and that's so, I think that speaks volumes to just society and how society is just so enamored with the bad boy image and, how. So I did another movie called Diamond Girls, and Diamond Girls kind of touches on that. Diamond Girls is a movie about women who date guys in the street life, and it shows the consequences of choosing those kinds of men and how those choices of men can have a blowback effect on you negatively, even if you're not in the streets, even if you're not out, hustling with him. It can still affect you negatively. And we touch on that, that thing of what is it about a bad boy that's so intriguing and so, attractive. And, a lot of it is just really, I don't want to call it superficial, but it's based on false pretenses, like, I've heard women say, oh, well, I like the street guy because I feel safe and protected. And it's like, well, no, I know a lot of dead street guys. So,
exactly.
So
exactly.
That's a myth, and vice versa. I came up in an era where a man could be strong and protect his family and would die protecting his family without being a street guy, so right. This idea that he has to be a street guy to be street smart, or he has to be a street guy to know how to protect you is just, it's a myth. It's really a myth. And, the other thing is that, it doesn't make him superhuman just because he's a street guy. And then we have to also ask ourselves, why are we choosing people out of to me, that's a mindset of struggle.
It's self-love.
It's a mindset of struggle that why do you even think that you have to go through life being with somebody that can protect you? Like, why are you living in this reality where you fear danger and feel you need to be protected? You know what I mean?
Well, because you like that. It's something lacking. Yeah. And most women, you got to look at, like me, I didn't meet my dad till I was 16. I used to always wonder what he looked like, what he acts like, what he talks like. Yeah. That led me to be in love with all the wrong people for all the wrong reasons. And where you felt like you needed someone to protect you because you never had that level of protection. And then you fall for the street guys. And it's a rush to you. Oh, he hard, he this, he that. But in reality, he's not. You know what I'm saying? What was your motivation behind writing the movie Diamond Girls?
So Diamond Girls kind of came out of my mother's story. So my mother was killed when I was 6 years old.
Oh my!
And it basically stemmed from a guy she was dating who was a street guy. She kind of got tangled up in some of his mess, and they executed her. The people that he was dealing with, they executed her, and so that part of the story, and then women that I grew up with, in the hood, and women I went to school with, hearing their stories, being from a city like Detroit, 9 times out of 10, especially coming from my era, if a girl was attractive and looked halfway decent, you could pretty much guarantee she's dated a street guy.
Oh yeah.
No matter what walk of life she's from, whether it's a corporate girl, a church girl, or whatever, somewhere she's dated a street guy. And so, how when you're dating people and you guys are getting to know each other, you talk about your past relationships. Mm-hmm. And so, I would, meet girls, and we're getting to know each other, and they're all telling me these stories of things that they went through dating guys in the street, from, being shot at to, I'll give you one example. The girl was living with her guy, and some people had a hit out on him. And they came to her house. They lived in an apartment, and it was like a basement apartment. So she said she looked out the window, and all she saw was these guys running past her window, and she could see that they had AKs, and she could see the bottom of their guns, because they were, holding them down by their sides. And so they ran up to the door and started kicking the door, trying to kick the door in. And he wasn't home. She didn't have a gun, because he had the gun with him. And so she said she took a TV and threw the TV up against the door. And it was so loud that they thought she had a gun and was shooting at them.
Oh, wow.
So they ran off, and so stories like that is like, whoa, these some good stories.
She's like, I got to make a movie about it.
Yeah, I mean, you always hear street stories from the perspective of men. All the movies, everything is always about the men. So I wanted to make something to tell the women's side of the story.
Right.
And so one of the projects that will be released as well is I did a docu-series also called Diamond Girls, where I actually interview women who. So Diamond Girls that's on Tubi now is the movie, but then I have a docu-series coming out where I'm interviewing actual women who have dated guys in the street life, telling their stories, and then some of the women that I interviewed themselves were drug dealers, so they were the street guy, for lack of a better way.
Wow. And where can people find the docu? I would love to watch that. I didn't know you had that. Where can we find it?
Absolutely. It'll be out on Tubi later this year.
Oh, okay. So this is something that we need to look for. So y'all make sure you guys are writing down these things, so nobody has to, because y'all know I don't remember anything. So you can't text me tonight and ask me, because I'm going to forget. I'm going to say, let me text Joe and ask him, because I'm not going to remember. But hey, make sure you guys.
Good to know.
Make sure you're writing that down. So you also have a movie. And now I'll tell you, I'm going to be honest. I have set, now y'all told you I do Thursday night Tubi's. Now, I have a hookah company. So Thursday night, I do my hookah. I watch Tubi. I'm ratchet. I do whatever I want to do. You see what I'm saying? That's my night. It's called Tantalizing Thursdays, right? So I have put this movie, Dance with the Devil. Is it dancing or dance?
Dance.
Dance. I thought I was right. Right. See, I told you. Dance with the Devil. I will watch this tomorrow. So do not give away anything for me to be like, you gave it away. But I do want you to talk about it, but don't give too much of it away. So the movie, because I noticed you posted something about a glitch, and that the glitch was fixed. So tell us a little bit about the movie, Dance with the Devil?
So Dance with the Devil is about an older guy who is, trying to peacefully live out his golden years. And there's these young kids who are going around robbing people and doing stick-ups and home invasions, and they're just out here wild. And they attempt to rob this older gentleman, but they don't know that he has a very dark past. And they get in over their heads.
Okay.
We'll leave it at that.
And your motivation behind it? Is it something that came from like a real life story? Because I got questions too. A lot of people have texted me and they have questions for Joe. I'm going to read those questions instead of having everybody calling in because we are on an hour show. But I'm pretty sure that that's one of the questions. Like, what was your motivation behind? Because, one of the one of the women that text asked about this movie. What was your motivation behind it?
I think it was just, how I see the younger generation nowadays that just kind of thinks that the world started when they got on the scene. And so they have a sense of invincibility. They sometimes have a lack of respect for people that are older, that are older than them. And I know a lot of people, man, from my neighborhood and people I grew up with. I know a guy right here in Detroit. This guy was one of the most notorious killers in the city. He was an enforcer for a very large drug organization back in the day called YBI.
I've looked into that.
Me and him were having a conversation. He did 30 years in prison for murder. And, he's out and he's positive and he's, changed his life, but one day we were talking and he was telling me about how he had gotten into an argument with somebody. And he said, Joe, it's hard because people don't understand. I can still be that guy. You know what I'm saying? So, so that mindset of, just because you see somebody and they may be a little older or they not, young and hip like you are, don't think that you don't know this person's past. You don't know.
Don't think you'll get them
calls. Person was in their, you don't know who they were in their former life. You get in trouble trying people because you think that they're, weak or feeble, or just because you didn't get to know the old them, you think they're an easy target. And it's like, nah, you can get in trouble like that. Trouble you can't handle. So, so that's kind of the motivation behind, Dance with the Devil. I know a lot of guys, that's just, like I said, been out of prison. They've changed their life. They're trying to be positive now. And, sometimes in our community, we think that, somebody being positive means they're weak. It's like, okay, you're going to mess around and find out.
They're going to mess around and dance with the devil.
Exactly.
So we talked about Diamond Girls. A Good Man is like one of my favorite movies. Hands down, y'all. Yeah. If you don't watch nothing else, just log on. Watch A Good Man, and y'all can be like, girl, it made me so mad because, it made me so mad. I was just watching her, and I was like, I just want to, can I be on set right now? Because, she just made me so mad. But anyway, Dance with the Devil. Was it hard for you to get, let me rewind it a little bit. You're from the east side of Detroit. You lost your mom at an early age.
Yes.
You started out not making films, but you started out playing the piano at an early age. And I'm sure a lot of people may not even know that about you unless they know you.
Right.
Was it, a time in your life when you just felt like, I need to do something with my life? And you are like, what age? And not just the piano, but you've worked with Fred Hammond. You've worked with, is it Karen Clark? You've worked with a lot of big names in the gospel world. And gospel is very different from any other genre.
Yes.
At what point in your life did you say, I want to do something different than just be, what do you call it when people say you from the streets? You know what I'm saying? I want to be something different. I don't want to just be from the streets or known as being from the streets.
Yeah. So, so when I refer to my mother, usually, my birth mother was killed when I was 6, like I said. So I was raised by my aunt and uncle. And so that's who I refer to as my mom and dad. Mm-hmm. And so, my mom that raised me, she was trying to keep me in activities when I was young. So she put me in basketball. She put me in baseball. She put me in all the, Cub Scouts, all this stuff, just trying to keep me occupied. And so when I was 10, she put me in piano lessons. And so music was the thing that I took to. Mm-hmm. And so that benefited me because, we're talking about the 80s. So I started taking piano lessons in 81 when I was 10. Well, 84, 85 is when crack hit the inner city. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of my friends started selling drugs. A lot of my friends were getting into trouble. I was approached multiple times about, did I want to roll? That's what we called it back in the day. Hey, you want to come roll for me? And music always gave me something else to do. And of course, I still was in the hood and still got into a little trouble, here and there, got into mischief. Saw things at a young age. I've seen people get shot. I've seen people get killed. I've seen all kinds of stuff, had guns put on me, gotten robbed, mm-hmm. So I experienced it, but music and being involved in music gave me something else to do, so okay. While all my friends were hustling, I was trying to learn how to, do studio work. Mm-hmm. And, or just trying to learn how to play, the songs that were on the radio at the time, or, whatever. It just always gave me something else to do. Mm-hmm. And it also taught me how to be a leader, right? Because, like in the summertime, I'm out running the streets with my little friends, but I had to practice piano every day for an hour. And so at some point, I would have to come in while everybody else hanging out. I'm like, hey, y'all, I got to go in the house. So in the middle of the afternoon, I got to go in the house and practice piano for an hour and then go back outside. But that was the beginning of me learning how to break away from the crowd and go do my own thing. And it literally is what served me and kept me out of more trouble that I could have gotten into. Mm-hmm. And so that was the benefit of it. And once I started getting into music, it got fun to me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I didn't like having to practice every day for an hour.
Right.
Or just having that little extra thing, even when we were in school. So it's like I come home from school, I do my homework, and then now I got to practice. Whereas all my friends, they do their homework, and then now they're free for the rest of the night.
Right.
So it definitely saved me. It definitely kept me out of a lot of trouble. And so I did my first studio session where I was, somebody actually brought me in the studio to play keyboards on an actual recording when I was 16. So
wow. Okay.
I'm in high school, playing for people. I'm gigging. I'm doing, live performances and things of that nature. So it was very, very beneficial to me to have that activity in my life, and it became the springboard for everything that I'm doing now.
Wow. And how did you come about working with the Fred Hammond? And well, Detroit is known for its music. Everybody knows that. Do you think that gave you like a leg up on things when it came to, it used to be so much easier back in the day. If you and I were the age when all those big groups were making it, you know what I'm saying? It used to be so much easier back in the day to become famous. But how did you get involved in the gospel world?
So it was just so back then, in the 80s and early 90s, there was a thriving music scene here. So for me, it wasn't just gospel. It was R&B, it was jazz. I was doing all of that stuff. And so there was just like a huge scene here of young musicians, young singers, people who were up and coming. And we were all just running around the city together, playing at gigs and, doing different things. That after a while you build relationships. After a while you get a name. Your name starts ringing around town. People know you. People know, who can I get to, play keyboards, for my concert? Oh, Joe Smith, he's good. Or this one or that one. And so by the time I actually met Fred, I met Fred in my early 20s. So by that time, I was kind of one of the guys. I was one of the young guns on the music scene here. And so it was easy to get work because, I had done some things. I had produced my first album, by that time. And so I had produced other people's stuff. I had worked on a couple of things for some people that, had record deals, so I was out here. I was outside.
Grinding. You was grinding. You was outside grinding.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so from the music to movies, it's kind of like, do you still do music?
A little bit. Not as much.
Okay.
I'm still music director at my church. So that's my music part. I get to play and go and have my fun there. I still have my studio. I have a recording studio here. So I still, work on stuff, for people, but I'm not as engaged on the music side as I am now because it don't, trust me. I've never worked a 9-to-5 job. I've always done music full time.
Oh wow! Okay, lucky you.
Yeah, it definitely was a blessing.
That's a blessing.
I was always able to stay engaged and stay working. And so I went by being a musician, I got hired to be music director for a stage play that was touring in the 90s, in the early 90s. And so I went from music to stage plays. So then I was like, a few years later, I'm like, I could write my own stage play. Because I've always been curious about the process of how things are done. So then I wrote my own stage play in the early 2000s. And so I went from stage plays to film scoring. Then I wrote my own stage play. And then I started producing documentaries, and then from documentaries to film. So music to theater to film, and here I am.
Wow. Very smart man. Now, this is no shade, y'all. And a lot of people might be mad at me, but it feels so good to log on and see something. I don't even know if I should say that. But anyway.
Uh-oh.
They say if you got to think about it, don't say it. It just feels good to log on and see regular people acting. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
It feels good to I'm from Michigan, born and raised. And it doesn't matter where I am now. It's in my blood. I'm a Michigan girl. And it just really feels good. Even you have with Tubi, you have your Dallas people. You have your Michigan people. You have your Chicago people. The actors in each city. And it just really feels good to see real people acting real life things that we go through as our culture every day. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's our outlet. We know we can go here and watch us. I'm not just saying African Americans. I mean us, people that are living in poverty, people that have been in gangs, people that have been in abusive relationships, us, people that live everyday real lives. And it just really feels good to have that outlet with directors like yourself that are bringing these things to light. And it's kind of like, man, I've been there. I've been in every movie that you've been in. You know what I'm saying? I've been there. And it really just feels good to see that. So
thank you.
It's just a good thing to have people like you. Now, I need to come to Detroit and get in the studio. I need to come to Detroit and get in a movie. I need to go to Texas and get a movie, but people like me, if we wanted to be in your movies, like, how do you pick your people? Is it a certain type of actresses that you look for? Is it a look that you have to have? Now, I went to acting school down here, and they teach you, now back in my day, and I ain't gonna tell my age, you had to be a certain weight, you had to look a certain way, or they would just, like your voice, use your voice and put your voice with other people's faces and bodies. And when I graduated from acting school, it was kind of like, it doesn't matter how old you are. It depends on you. But it was a time that you had to look a certain way. You had to be a certain size, a certain height in order to get certain roles. So what do you guys look for? Do you do your own casting, or do you have a casting director? I should ask.
I do my own casting.
So you do your own casting. Now, when I went out because I'm in some movies too. I'm in Acrimony. I'm in some other, independent films. When the casting director casts you, there's certain things that they look for. Like, what do you look for in an actress? Not just the way she acts. Is it a certain thing that you look for besides her acting ability? Or his?
Yes. So for me, everything comes down to the story and what makes the story make sense and what makes the story realistic. So when I say a look, it's not necessarily a look in terms of like Hollywood says you have to be thin and you have to be this and you have to be that. I don't go by that. I go by what is the look of the character that makes sense for the story, right? So, for example, in A Good Man, here's this guy. He's a successful businessman. He's got money. He's got means. He's, a handsome guy himself. He's, fit. And so the thought is, well, what type of woman would that type of guy be attracted to? Mm-hmm. And not just attracted to, but drawn in by.
Mm-hmm. Something different, right?
Well, not necessarily something different, but just like, she couldn't be overweight, right? Mm-hmm. I couldn't get somebody overweight and out of shape to play that role, because to me, even though we know that all types of people are attracted to all types of other people, mm-hmm. I would have taken you outside of the story if she didn't look aesthetically pleasing. Mm-hmm. So she had to look like somebody who would catch his eye.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So those types of things, that's what I mean when I say it goes by the story, or for example, I'm getting ready to do a movie where this guy is the CEO of a big record company. And so the girl that's playing his girlfriend, she has to look like a girl that would be with the CEO of a major company who is constantly seeing all types of beautiful women. He's got money, he's rich, he's in the entertainment business, he's surrounded by beautiful women. So then the woman that plays his girlfriend has to be gorgeous.
Right, and she has to be confident. So I need to come down and cast for that role.
Yeah. And she has to be age appropriate, you know.
Right. So like she has to be confident. That's real life.
Yeah.
Think about it.
But the confidence has to be accompanied by aesthetics.
Right. But you think about your role. Okay, in our line of work, in the entertainment field, you have to be with somebody that knows the rope. You get what I'm saying? Or it's not going to work for you. They teach you that.
Yes.
And acting school, they teach you that. You have to be with somebody that completely understands your role, your job. You may get a casting call and you may have to just go. You may be in a role and it may be inappropriate. You may, like, this person has to be solely confident in what you do. Am I right or wrong?
So are you referring to the character?
You, the character. I mean, you know what I'm saying, in real life or in the character.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
But so the thing is that, you know, movies, TV, and film are visual mediums. Mm-hmm. So visually, the visuals have to match.
Got you.
One of the things that, like, I can't stand is when you have somebody playing somebody's mother, but they don't look old enough to be that character's mother. And so it's like, you know, like, this person looks too young to be this person's mother. Right. So that takes my mind out of the story. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Because as I'm watching the movie, before I hear a line, I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, y'all sisters, and it's like, oh no, that's her mother. Oh wow, well, why would they cast somebody that doesn't look like a mom? Right. You know, even if she's attractive, she doesn't look age appropriate to be this person's mother. Now, we know in real life, that can be a thing. You see, you know, somebody who may look young, the mama look young, and they think the daughter is her sister. But it's like, with movies and TV, a visual medium, you don't have time to explain all of that. Right. So people got to look at it and get it. You know, oh, that's her mother. You know what I'm saying? And so things like that. Or, you know, something else I can't stand that I see in a lot of movies is, well, this guy is supposed to be a police detective, but he looks like a thug. But he's not working undercover. It's just they cast somebody in this role that, you know, they cousin. He is a street dude, but they were like, oh, I got one more role. I need somebody to play the detective. And he like, I bet. Right. It's like, okay, that guy doesn't look like a detective. He looks like a thug. You know what I'm saying? So those types of things, when I say the story determines what I look for, you know, in a character, you know, so those are the kinds of things that I look for. You know, it's just whatever helps me tell the story in a way that I don't have to do a bunch of explaining. You know, or another example, I saw somebody's movie once and they cast this girl that was supposed to be an attorney in court, but it was like the girl looked like a stripper. Like,
I know, like, I see that all the time.
You know, had her head shaved and had this all, you know, one side of her hair was long and the other side was shaved. And that doesn't look like an attorney. Right. I got attorney friends. None of them look like that. Just look like she strips.
Yeah, you're right. I see that a lot. I see that a whole lot. You be like, wait a minute, who court she in? You know, but you're right about that. Okay, so
it's like you have to look past that to get into the story. I don't want people to have to look past anything to enjoy the story.
True. And so far, I've enjoyed that. You know, your name is like, in our household, we're looking for Joe Smith movies. I'm like, we know it's going to look good. You know what I'm saying? Just the quality of it. Yeah. Everything is kind of like, we know it's going to look good. And that's just the real, you know, the realistics of it. So
thank you.
The questions, I'm going to go to 2 questions. She wants to know, have you ever witnessed a scene Oh, have you ever witnessed a scene play out in real life? Like, I think she means that kind of matches something in your life, maybe? I'm not sure.
It's more so stories that I know of, or things that I've seen other people live through. And so, for example, with Diamond Girls, all of those stories that make up that movie, a lot of them are based on real life stories that I know of mm-hmm. things that happened, in real life. So, for example, there's a scene in the movie where one of the drug dealers he's about to be indicted. He gives his girlfriend a duffel bag full of money to take to his attorney. And she takes the duffel bag, she leaves, and the feds pull her over and they take the money, but they don't arrest her. Mm-hmm. So then now she has to go back and tell her man the feds took the money and did not arrest me. And he doesn't believe her. He's like, they just took the money, but they didn't arrest you. Mm-hmm. I don't believe you. And so he thinks she stole the money. Well, that story came from a real life story that I know of, where that exactly happened. Mm-hmm. So all of those things are kind of reframed versions of things that I know of that happened in real life.
Okay.
So yes and no.
Right. Right. It's kind of a yes and no question. And then I have another question for you. And this one is all the way from Tijuana. And he wants to know, does your acting life impact your real life?
So I am not an actor. Mm-hmm. My last movie, Dance with the Devil, I made a quick cameo appearance in my movie, but it is more of like Stan Lee when he makes those little appearances in all the Marvel movies. He'll do like a little quick scene, like Stan Lee might be, if it's a scene in the coffee shop, mm-hmm. Stan Lee will be the guy working in the coffee shop and he'll have 2 or 3 lines. That was what that was. That I am by no means an actor, and I wouldn't even call myself that because there's so many actual actors who are really dope and it's their craft. I just made a cameo appearance. So I am not an actor. You will not be seeing me in a whole lot more movies. I enjoy being behind the scenes. I enjoy writing. I enjoy directing. I enjoy producing them. And so, but I don't know in what way he means. Does it impact
I'm not
my
sure.
life?
I think he probably means, does it interfere with your you working? I only thing I could think is like your schedule. Does it interfere with your everyday life? That's kind of what I think.
Yes, it defines it. It definitely defines my personal life, but my life has always been like that. I've always been on the go, always been on the road, in and out of town, in and out of studio sessions, studio sessions that last all night long, so, mm-hmm. I've always, had to be very intentional with, my personal relationships and personal life and family and things of that nature. Because, I make sure everybody understands that, like, I'm not a regular guy. I don't work a 9 to 5. So my schedule is not compartmentalized to where, okay, I'm at work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then after that, I'm free to live my life. No, my schedule has been quite erratic mm-hmm. for the past 30 years. Literally.
Okay, yeah. Last question. Mm-hmm. What motivates you to keep the ambition to keep going?
I've just always been somebody that's driven, and I'm always, I have big goals, I have big dreams, And I see myself as being successful. I see myself as being rich. I see myself as being, huge. And so my grind to get there, I know that I'll only get there by being diligent and being hardworking and being driven, even when, things aren't happening as fast as I want them to, or even when things, happen and you're discouraged or disappointed. You got to keep going. That's the only way you get there. You only get there by continuing to be resilient and move forward.
Okay. Great answers. So I have one question, and this will be our last question. And this is my question to you. Do you incorporate God with a lot of things that you do? Like, is God like your number one go-to before you make big decisions about your career?
Absolutely. My pastor said something that I love, and I've adopted it. He said, God is my business partner, and so just like a real life business partner, you wouldn't go and make decisions without consulting your partner, and so the advantage that God has is that he knows the future. And so yes, I'm very, mindful of decisions that I make. I pray before I make big decisions, both personal and business, and I've gotten in a lot of trouble in my life by not listening to the voice of God and just jumping off the porch and doing what I want to do, and trying to go at my own pace and trying to do my own thing. It's gotten me in a lot of trouble. So it's like I try not to learn lessons over and over and over. I try to learn them the first time and then keep going. So I definitely, God is at the center and the forefront of everything, and he has been the secret sauce to the success that I've had thus far.
Okay. What can we look for in 2024, in 2024 from Joe Smith?
Well, definitely got some more movies that I am shooting this year. A Good Man Part 2 is coming out in the next couple of months. I'm excited about that. And then I'm producing some films for some other people. So we'll be busy this year. And then the big thing that people should look for is Mainstream, which is my streaming platform that will be launching fourth quarter this year, first quarter next year. So around December, January, we'll be going live with Mainstream. So that will be TV, film, music, podcasts, and live events all on one platform. You'll be able to get it on your smartphones, on your smart TVs. You'll be able to download the app, and you'll be able to, get more great content.
Now, will filmmakers be able to put movies on your platform?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so how can they find out or follow up with that?
They can go to mainstream.tv, and there's a landing page, and Mainstream is spelled with two E's. So MAINSTREEM.TV. And they can just enter their information because we haven't gone live with the platform. It's just a landing page where you can enter your email address, and you can be kept abreast of everything that's going on with Mainstream. And so definitely follow me on social media. My Instagram is Millionaire Joe, all one word. And you can inbox me there and get updates there as well.
All right.
Facebook as well.
Well, I would say it's been a great show. Keep doing everything that you're doing for, just for everybody. And if it was one thing that you can tell a person that is struggling or maybe just down and out that's doing the same thing that you're doing that may have not crossed the paths that you crossed, what can you say to them to motivate them to keep going?
Definitely the first thing is to know that this is what you're supposed to be doing and what you're called to do. A lot of people are frustrated because they're operating outside of their purpose or operating outside of God's plan for their life. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing is making sure that this is even what you're supposed to be doing.
Wow.
And then secondly, once you have that assurance, you got to just keep going. Social media will have people to believe that success just happens overnight and that you just start doing something and it just works and you're successful. When the reality is success happens over a period of time. It's a roller coaster ride. It's heartache. It's disappointment. It's a lot of no's. It's a lot of, crap that comes with the journey. And you got to just keep going. You got to keep pressing through. And when you're operating inside of God's purpose, He will put the right people in your path. He will put the right resources in your path. When I made my first movie, I didn't have the money to meet the budget. But because it was God's timing and it was God's plan, He put the money in my pathway. Mm-hmm. And so you gotta just keep going. Be resilient and know that you're operating in God's plan.
A mouthful. You said a mouthful. Hey guys.
Well, my answer's too long?
No, not in a bad way. In a good way. When people say you said a mouthful, that's a good thing.
No, okay, good.
No, it was a great thing. I thought it was great.
Thank you.
Guys, if you want to message Joe, go to Millionaire Joe on Instagram. Send him a message, let him know what you're thinking. If you have any questions about any of the movies, I hope you don't mind. I'm just throwing it out there. But just make sure that you're supporting this man and everybody that's doing something, because I say it all the time. We have to support one another, because without us, what do we have? So you cannot ask for support if you're not willing to support.
Right.
That's the number one key that people need to realize, is that we all need support from somebody, but you have to be willing to support people as well. In saying that, make sure that you guys are supporting the show. If you would like to message me and ask me about the movies we talked about or anything that Joe may be doing, I'm pretty sure he will be open to coming back on the show, and Absolutely. We will get to it. Did you have anything in closing to say? And I want to thank you for being on the show too, because let me tell y'all, I'm so, I don't know what you call it, but when God tell me to move, I moved. And God said, you need to reach him. And I reached out. And that's just been me. I've always been motivated to do what my heart and what God tells me to do. And I do believe that God places people in your path for a reason. So, I mean, it's a reason that we connected. But anyway,
Absolutely.
Make sure
and
that...
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, and you just don't know that. But I was telling people, I was like, I'm going to have Joe Smith on the show. And they like, what? And I couldn't even just get all the questions in. But I'm like, okay, I'm only going to take like 4 and just do those 4. And I told you, people watch you from places that you don't know that they're watching you. And when God tells you to move, it seems like you're moving. And that's what's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So y'all, that is our time. Make sure that you are looking me up for all your mobile hookah needs. CC's Hookah Heaven. Make sure you're following my man Joe on all the media platforms. Where are you? Where can they find you? Are you just on Instagram and Facebook?
Instagram, Facebook. I'm on TikTok, but not for real.
No, me either. I don't know.
I'm more active on there.
Ooh, Jesus.
And I'll be putting my website up this year too, so you'll be able to find me at joesmithmedia.com. It's coming. It's coming, guys.
And don't forget, mainstream.tv. That's with 2 E's. Upcoming filmmakers podcast hosts such as myself, I mean, get on there, submit your stuff.
Yeah.
You never know. And just keep supporting. Joe, I want to thank you one more time for coming on. And that's our time.
Thank you.
All right. You guys have a good night. It's your girl, Shara, the Super Chick. One life, one love, and I'm out.